care about. News Talk 1330 WLBB, Carrollton.
Well, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning we are on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. You can already see my guest. And thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you'll tune in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week because it's Chairman Week, as we bring in all the candidates running for Carroll County Commission Chairman on our program 8:30 every morning this week. The first to join us this week is Lee Powers, former Carroll County District 5 Commissioner, and he resigned last week in order to seek this chairman position. Good morning, sir, and thanks for coming to join us on Community Voice.
Good morning, Colin. Glad to join you.
And honestly, talking to people here, I'll let them know that you were probably the first person to get in touch with me and say, hey, it's a good chance I'm going to run. And you looked into it and gave it some thought, and probably one of the first people to announce the candidacy. And thus, we set up this set up this show at that point as well. Why was it important for you to get out in front of this and be the first person to qualify for this race, do you think?
Well, Carroll County is very important to me, Colin. I love Carroll County. I love the people here in the county, and I frankly, I think I'm the best candidate. I've made promises when I came on and started running for District 5. And matter of fact, my slogan's promises made, promises kept. I promised that I'd take care of our employees, and our employees are they're the biggest asset that we have in the county, and we've got to protect them. We've got to get them their pay up to where the surrounding counties are. I mean, without our employees, we wouldn't have a county. I mean, they're without a doubt they are our biggest assets, and Lee Powers will be fighting hard for our employees. And also our rural heritage. A lot of other candidates right now are talking about the rural heritage. If you go back 2 years ago, I've been fighting to protect our rural heritage and protect our farmlands, because we don't want to be like Douglas County and Paulding County, where you can't go down a mile down the road without seeing the subdivision. I've been out on the campaign trail now ever since I talked to you, and that's one of the biggest issues, that people do not want to be like Douglas County or Paulding County. But just saying that you don't want to be like Douglas County or Paulding County or the surrounding, you got to have a plan, and I have that plan to build a sustainable tax base so we can have the money to pay for our employees. And you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a plan laid out to show the people that you understand land use. And I've been in the commercial construction business a long time, and I understand land use. I understand what brings money into the county and what does not. And simply bringing a bunch of subdivisions in here and having to build more schools and roads and having to hire more police officers and build more fire stations to serve the subdivisions, they just don't pay. It just does not pay the bill. We go negative, and that's exactly what happened in Douglas County. That's the reason there's no farms in Douglas County right now, because the people sold the farms, and as that started happening, when a farmer would die, their kids simply could not afford to keep the land, and I love Carroll County too much
to allow that happening. You and I have talked before, and I've talked with other farmers about that as well, that we do see like the next generation maybe not have as much interest in the farms and selling it off. Do we see that happen in Carroll County?
But you'll be surprised. I hear that sometime. But I like yesterday, I was with a gentleman, and he was talking about how he wanted to leave his farm for his family, and I don't think that his children will farm much. They may just let it grow up in pine trees and deer hunt and cut the pine trees, but that's fine. I'm going to tell you, when you ride down the rural part of this county and you see the cows standing out there and you see the farmers growing their gardens and stuff, them cows don't require schools. They don't require fire stations. They don't require policemen. I mean, that's a positive. That land right there is a positive tax base for us. But when you put a subdivision in there and it's a wrong one, and it's a wrong type of growth, then it becomes a liability for the county instead of an asset. So I want to be very careful, but I understand we have to have growth, but it needs to be in the right places, and it needs to be around the cities, and we've got to protect our rural part of Carroll County.
Lee Powers, former Carroll County District 5 Commissioner. He is running for Carroll County Chairman. Qualifying was last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Election Day is what, mid-June, the 20?
No, it's 18th of June.
Yeah,
and
18th
early
of June.
voting starts May the 28th. Y'all don't forget to vote for Lee Powers.
Let's go back with your initial slogan: "Promises made, promises kept." What are
Yes.
those promises that you did make?
Well, when I was campaigning for District 5, it's a little over 2 years ago, I promised to take care of our employees. There again, our employees are our biggest assets. Since I've been on the board, we have been able to give raises and bonuses to our employees. Anybody that knows me knows that I have fought really, really hard for the rural heritage of Carroll County, and I have not stopped on that. Also, not only have I fought for the rural heritage of Carroll County, we also the first responders, and we have 504 square miles in Carroll County, and when I came on, we had 5 ambulances to cover 504 square miles. And one of the first things that I asked the board to do is for us to look in and putting a 6th ambulance in the south end of this county. And I know a lot of people are saying that because my daughter's a first responder. People, go back and look. My daughter was not even, she was going down the pharmacist road at that particular time. EMS was not even in her mind at that point. That became later, and she decided she wanted to be a paramedic. But it had nothing to do with that. It had something to do with a lady having a stroke in Bowden, Georgia one night, and it took over an hour for an ambulance to get here because all of our ambulances was busy. So I've been fighting hard for that. And another thing I was fighting hard is and I went around our board for this. I went to the health board and to protect our water. There's a lot of on these half-acre lots, a lot of these septic tanks was failing. And Lee Powers, I went to our board, and they didn't want to mess with lot sizes because it's so controversial. So I went around our board, and I went to the health board. And I talked to the health board about it, and I told them why I wanted to do it, to protect our groundwater. And man, they jumped all over it, and they raised the minimum square foot for up to a half acre if you have, just for your septic system now. I mean, you've got to have a half acre now just to install a septic system in Carroll County. And hey, Colin, that's not only protecting our rural heritage, but it's also protecting our water. And our water is one of our commodities. We've got to have clean water. So I've worked hard, and I've kept them promises. And as chairman, I will continue to keep my promises. And I'll do Carroll County a good job because I love Carroll County.
You talk about the subdivisions, and I think maybe just this year I can think of at least 3 planned subdivisions, and maybe two or all of them came through District 5. Looking to go into District 5. Maybe 2 of them have dropped off the agenda for the time being, anyway. Where else can these guys go? And what's your excuse when you tell them, hey, we don't want that happening there? How can you really tell somebody who's a business guy wants to make some money? How do you stop them from doing that? I mean, obviously the board can say, hey, we don't approve that, but what's your explanation to them?
See, there again, Colin, I'm not against growth. We have to have the right growth. We have to have the growth that's around the I-20 corridor and around our cities and close to our cities. We don't need subdivisions out in Rootville and out in Whitesburg and the heart of Bowden and Tice and stuff like that. I mean, we've got to protect our rural heritage out there. We've got to protect our farmlands out there. Do you realize that we've got 159 counties in Georgia? In Carroll County, I was at the Ag Center the other day, and they said that Carroll County has more working farms than any other county in the state of Georgia. We need to be proud of that, Colin, and we need to protect that. We need to protect our farmers. We need to protect, everybody's saying that they're jumping on the bandwagon, these other candidates, but what candidate's always been talking about protecting our farmers? It's Lee Powers.
Lee Powers is a former Carroll County District 5 Commissioner. He's one of 5 people running for Carroll County Chairman. Also one of the better smelling guests we've had on the program in recent weeks. And apparently one of the most popular or less communicative to his contacts, because somebody has called you the entire program so far. But we'll take our first break here. Lee Powers, again, our guest. If you have questions or comments, feel free to call 678-601-8255, 678-601-TALK. Also, you can post a question or comment up on the Facebook Live page, and I will pass that along, question or comment as well. We'll come back with more Community Voice with Lee Powers after this break.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama, because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
All right, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. Also streaming live this morning on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page, where our guest is Lee Powers, former District 5 Commissioner in Carroll County. He's running for Commission Chairman. One of 5 candidates. And a reminder that tomorrow, I believe Vicki Anderson will be our guest, former District 2 Commissioner, and she wants to be your chairman as well. She'll be our guest tomorrow morning. Again, the program starts at 8:30. Hope you'll tune in for that one. And we hope to have each of the candidates on the program this week. It's Chairman Week on News Talk 1330. Again, Lee Powers is our guest right now. Let's go back and talk about some of your previous votes cast as a commissioner in Carroll County. Actually, this one will not. I guess it's a previous subject, but maybe you didn't cast a vote in this one. The T-Splost failed. The public vote failed here in Carroll County. If you were chairman, would you bring that back vote to let citizens vote again on that?
I would, but I would. We need to get. Carroll County, we've got a lot of roads that are failing right now. There's a lot of roads that needs to be striped, especially in the rural part. There's a lot of elderly people in the rural part of the county that they rely on that little white line going down the side of the road when they're driving at night. And there's some bridges that needs to be fixed in Carroll County. We do need to bring that back up, but when we bring it back up, we need to have specific projects that we're going to let the citizens know what we're going to do with the money.
Did Carroll County not do a good job with that the first time? There were concerns that, hey, I don't really see what the projects are in particular.
We're not allowed to promote, as commissioners, we're not allowed to go out and ask people to vote for that. So,
but did they not do a good job explaining what the projects would be?
We had community meetings in every community, and just nobody showed up, and we've got to get other people to promote it for us better next time. But Carroll County, we've done a good job. We've coming out of that big recession, and we've done a good job to keep it between the lines, but we've got to take it to the next level now. And yes, I'm going to bring, as chairman, I will bring it back up, but I will have specific jobs of what that money will be used for. It's just not going to say, excuse me, this pollen's killing me. We're just not going to say, hey, vote for this, and we're going to throw the money all in, and we'll tell you later. No, I'll have specific jobs of what we're going to use the money for.
As chairman, what are you going to do about the pollen?
That's the good Lord's problem. I can't. and you know, Jesus is the most important person in my life. But we'll have to talk to him about the pollen. I don't think we have anything to do with that.
And you say Jesus is the most important person in your life. I do believe that, and I've known you for 2 years, and you frequently talk about praying for my heathen soul, and I appreciate that. But let's an evangelical issue a couple years ago. Maybe it was, just last year. Sunday alcohol sales in the county. I think may have frustrated a lot of your supporters by voting to let that go to a vote to the community.
Well, Colin, I have been praying for you very fervently for over 2 years. I would love to see you come to know the Lord Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, because that is so important to me. I mean, I promise you, Jesus Christ is the most important person in my life, and then my wife is the second. But let's talk about that vote. I mean, I didn't know you was going to bring that up, but everybody's out there saying Lee Powers voted for alcohol. That is the biggest lie that I've ever heard. Lee Powers did not vote for alcohol to be sold on Sunday. Actually, Lee Powers voted no on Sunday sales at the ballots. But what Lee Powers did do is Lee Powers promised that he would give the people their constitutional right to vote. I didn't take their constitutional right away from them. I gave it to them. I gave them their constitutional right to vote. I personally voted no because I didn't want Sunday sales. But just because I voted no, you might have wanted to vote yes, Colin. And that was your constitution right to vote. And I'm not going to take somebody's right away from them. We live in America.
So any other vote that comes up that's controversial at all, I mean, you will make sure that the voters get to make that decision?
Well, within the state guidelines, yes. The state was very clear. Our legislators was very clear on this one subject, that the voters had the right to vote on it if it was going to be sold on Sunday in a county in the state of Georgia. They don't give that option on a lot of other things. They say, commission, that's what you're put here for. But on the alcohol sale, our legislators said that the people had the right to vote. Why should we hold someone's right of vote away from someone to give them the right to vote on something that our legislators was clear on that? Now, there's some issues, whether a stop sign goes on a road or not. The state, they don't give you the option to allow the people to vote on that. Our legislators don't give that right, but that one issue, they said that the voters had to. And yeah, I'm sorry, I voted no on it. I didn't want Sunday sales, but it's people's constitution right to have the right to vote, y'all. I mean, we live in America.
Lee Powers, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, one of 5 candidates for Carroll County Commission Chairman, and qualifying was last week. We're going to have all the candidates on the Community Voice program. Reached out to the gentleman who qualified on Friday, towards the end of the qualifying period, Mr. Fagan, and reached out to him on Sunday. Hadn't got back to us, but hopefully we'll have him on Wednesday. But all the other candidates are scheduled for this week. Before we take our final break here, District 5, and we can say it's a rural district. It's predominantly rural district.
It's rural, and I love the people in District 5, and I'm so thankful for them to give me the opportunity to serve them. I love serving people. I love people, Colin, and I love serving folks. And I want to thank everyone out there for giving me that right to serve y'all, because it has really been a pleasure serving y'all these past 2.5 years, or almost 2.5 years. As District 5 Commissioner. They're just the salt of the earth, and I love District 5. It's a great district.
Early on when you qualified, I'd heard this one statement just one time. I didn't hear it again. It was questioning experience in politics. And I think, you look at Donald Trump, or you look at, and the fact that Marty Smith was chairman for 2 terms without that political experience. So 2 years as commissioner, you think you're prepared to handle all the county doings. And again, I brought up District 5, but we look at District 5 and compare it with District 1. Even though we're the same county, I don't want to say they're greatly different, but there is differences in the people that live in each of those districts.
Colin, you're exactly right. And Colin, I started my own business, and it's a multi-million-dollar business, and I run my business. Matter of fact, I've already, excuse me, this pollen's getting me. I've already started arranging someone to take over my business and run it. Nobody gave me my business. I actually had to start it from scratch. Actually, I've got 3 different businesses, and they're all doing well right now, and I thank God for it. But I do have a business mind, and we need a business leader to run this county. And I promise you, I do have the experience. I would probably say I probably have the most experience because of the type business that I am in. I understand land use. I understand what needs to go where and why it needs to go there, and what don't need to go there and why it don't need to go there. I understand all that. I understand what brings in money to the county. I understand people are going to talk about experience, but let's just look at the facts. Let's look at what Lee has done over his life, and let's look at how I run the business. And absolutely, I've got the experience to run the county. When we're doing a big commercial job and we have a budget, I have to meet that budget. And if I don't meet it, guess where it comes out of? It comes out of my overall profit. So I understand budgets. I understand staying within the budgets, because hey, if I don't stay within the budget in my business, I go out of business. And so I understand the importance of staying within a budget and staying on course and keeping people on track. And I understand employees. There again, our employees are our biggest asset, but I understand them, and I understand how to work them, because I do have quite a few employees.
I know I could go on for an hour when I do these shows, and I ask questions that take us down rabbit holes and things, but we're talking about sticking in a budget. Recently, there was brought forth the change of budget of the gymnastics center, Carroll County Gymnastics Center.
Yes.
Carroll County commissioners approved a significant amount of money to add into that. Where did that stem from? Why was that not budgeted right to begin with?
Well, Colin, that's kind of a sore subject with me. And when I become chairman, I promise you that won't ever happen again. There again, experience. If I was the chairman of the county, and I'm not, I love Marty Smith. You've never heard it. Nobody's never heard me talk bad about Marty, because Marty's a good man, and I really enjoyed working with him. But as chairman, commercial constructions, that's what I do for a living. And there were some things left out of that bid. And don't know why it was left out, but we get to bid as the district commissioners. We bid they bid it out, and they bring the bid to us and say these are the 3 bids, and we choose one of the bids. As a chairman, I'll get in the weeds with the bidding process, and I'll make sure that stuff is not left out, and that's my strong point. And what was left out should not have been left out. If I was chairman, it would not have been left out. I'd have put it all in there, and it would all been bid up front. I do not like change orders.
We're going to come back with about 5 minutes left in the program. We'll take our final break right now. Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama, because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3, and this morning streaming live on Facebook, the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. My guest is Lee Powers. He's one of 5 candidates for Carroll County Chairman. That's coming up in June
18th. Early voting starts May the 28th.
I'm glad
Y'all vote
to
Lee
remind me of
Powers.
that. I'm not, man, we've got like 4 minutes left in the show, and I've got a lot of stuff to read to you here. I'm going to try. This is Cynthia Daly posting on our Facebook page. If all growth needs to be in northern area of the county, how do we support the infrastructure for that growth?
Well, I said the growth needs to be in the right places to bring the right sustainable tax base to Carroll County. Their agricultural growth, I mean, you look at, like I said a while ago, that Carroll County has got more farms than any other county in the state of Georgia, and the ag industry is one of the largest industries in Carroll County, and I'd like to see that industry grow out more, even get in that. But and the ag industry is real strong out in Carroll County. But as far as the industries, you need the logistics of the I-20 corridor, and it just don't make any sense to put a big business where there's no corridor to get to move logistically to move your product around. So that, I mean, the northern part of our county is the accessibility to transportation, and that's the reason I said what I said.
I'll tell our good friend James Camp, well-known libertarian here in Carroll County, comment he made: no T-splost. Voters have slapped the commission's hands twice on this issue. No means no. Can the Board of Commissioners not allocate money from regular splost for roads without adding an additional tax that will not assist the general budget?
We do. I'm going to be honest with you. Without our regular splost,
we'd be hurting.
We would be hurting big time. I mean, to face it, y'all, I mean, that's where most of the roads monies come from, is our regular splost. That's the reason I wish people would get more involved in our budgets, in our budget as we're doing them, and they would see. I mean, there's not. I mean, any business you can go in and find $1 here, $1 there. But I mean, go through. I challenge you, Colin. Go through our budget and find where there's a lot of wasted money being spent right now. I mean, there's just the Carroll County. We hadn't went up on taxes, and by the way, I that's something that I am against, going up on taxes.
So you will not go up on taxes, or you're just against it?
I've always said the only way that I would go up on taxes is if we got where we could not pay our employees. That would be the only way that I would go up on taxes.
Now, I hate to cut you off here, Lee. We've got less than 2 minutes, but I wanted to give you 1:30 just to kind of encourage people to just learn more about you. If you've got website, Facebook page, and maybe any speeches, meet and greets you have coming up.
I do have a meet and greet coming up on May the 9th in Rooteville at the Rooteville House. I've got several others. I've got one that's being planned in Temple. I've got one being planned in Villa Rica by different people. I've got a lot of support out there, Colin. I know we don't have much time, but I promised, as what I promised as chairman, I promised to protect our employees, number one. Number two, I promised to protect our rural heritage of Carroll County. That's very important to me and to the voters out there, that we protect the rural heritage of Carroll County. And also, we've got to build a relationship. I'm going to build a relationship with our cities and work real close with each one of our cities.
People can find your Facebook. Just type in Lee Powers, and there's actually a candidate page for you.
That is candidate Lee Powers for chairman of Carroll County. Absolutely. And I have a website also that will take you to it.
Lee Powers, thanks for coming out this morning.
Hey, I enjoyed it, Colin. I'm excited to be your next chairman.
Lee Powers, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. The show brought to you by Tanner Health System, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. Tune in tomorrow morning at 8:30, where we'll interview former District 2 Commissioner Vicki Anderson. Wants to be your chairman as well. Have a great Monday.